A Mercedes built like a tank, engineered like a Formula One car, and designed to take on BMW head-to-head. This is the story of the legendary Mercedes 190E. But this wasn't just another Mercedes. No chrome excess, no oversized luxury. This was a machine built for precision, performance, and endurance. And today, it's a legend. Introduced in 1982, the 190E was Mercedes's boldest experiment. They wanted to create a compact executive car that was as refined as the S-Class, but more accessible. The result? An engineering masterpiece, over-engineered in every possible way. It was the first Mercedes to be extensively tested in the wind tunnel. It was the first to use a multi-link rear suspension, a system so advanced it's still used in modern cars today. But the 190E had a bigger mission: to take on the BMW 3 Series. At the time, BMW had the upper hand in the compact executive car segment, with sportier handling and a younger image. Mercedes needed to respond. So they didn't just build a car, they built a statement. A car that could outrun, outlast, and outperform expectations. But how did they achieve it? What made the 190E so ahead of its time? Let's go back to the beginning, inside the Mercedes engineering labs. To build the 190E, Mercedes didn't cut corners. In fact, they did the opposite. They spent over 2 billion Deutsche Marks developing this car, an unprecedented amount for a compact sedan. The goal? To create a car that wasn't just smaller, but just as refined, safe, and advanced as its larger siblings like the S-Class. The result was a car engineered to perfection. One of the most revolutionary aspects of the 990E was its multi-link rear suspension, a groundbreaking system that dramatically improved stability and handling. It was so ahead of its time that even today, most modern cars still use a version of it. But that was just the beginning. The 190E also introduced aerodynamic advancements, refined safety features, and exceptional build quality. Every door, every panel, every switch was designed to last decades. Even today, that unmistakable thunk reminds you, this was no ordinary car. Mercedes didn't just design the 190E, they tortured it. The car was subjected to over 1.9 million kilometers of extreme testing, from the icy roads of Sweden to the scorching heat of the Arizona desert. The result? A car that could endure everything. A true testament to Mercedes' legendary engineering. But for some at Mercedes, durability and refinement weren't enough. They wanted more power, more performance, and so they turned to one of the greatest names in motorsport, Cosworth, and that changed everything.
Mercedes had built a masterpiece, but something was missing. The 190E was refined, solid, and advanced, but it lacked performance, and that's when they turned to an unlikely partner, Cosworth. At the time, Cosworth was one of the most respected names in motorsport, responsible for building some of the fastest engines in Formula One. Mercedes asked them for one thing: turn our 190E into a race car for the streets. Cosworth took Mercedes' rock-solid 2.3-liter engine and completely reworked it. They added a 16-valve twin-cam cylinder head, boosting power to 185 horsepower, a serious number for the mid-80s. This wasn't just a fast Mercedes. It was an entirely different beast, a car capable of hitting 230 kilometers per hour and revving like a true race machine. To prove just how good their new machine was, Mercedes organized a legendary race, the 1984 Nürburgring Race of Champions. 16 of the world's best drivers, all in identical 190E Cosworths, battling for supremacy on one of the toughest circuits in the world. Among them was a young driver few had heard of, a 24-year-old Ayrton Senna. And in a shocking turn of events, he didn't just compete, he dominated, beating multiple Formula One champions and proving he was a future legend. That day, the 190E 2.316 didn't just earn respect, it became a legend. And Senna? Well, we all know what happened next. But Mercedes wasn't done. They pushed the performance even further, creating the 190E 2.516 Evolution I, with more power, better aerodynamics, and wider wheel arches for an even more aggressive stance. And then came the ultimate version, the 190E Evolution II, only 502 units built. 235 horsepower, a monster on the track. And with that massive rear wing, it looked straight out of a DTM race. But Mercedes didn't just build these cars for show, they built them to win. And that's exactly what they did in the German Touring Car Championship, battling BMW in one of the most intense motorsport rivalries of all time. The late 80s and early 90s were a golden era for motorsport, and at the heart of it, a battle between two German giants, Mercedes and BMW. The battlefield, the DTM, Deutsche Tourenwagen-Meisterschaft, the most competitive touring car championship of the time. On one side, the BMW E30 M3, a lightweight, razor-sharp track weapon. On the other, the Mercedes 190e Evolution 2, a brutal machine built for domination. These two cars would go head-to-head in one of the greatest rivalries in racing history. At first, the BMW M3 had the edge. It was lighter, more agile, and an instant success on the track. But Mercedes fought back. With the Evolution models, they fine-tuned every detail. Better aerodynamics, wider stance, improved suspension, and a screaming 2.5-liter engine pushing over 230 horsepower. The result? A car that wasn't just competing, it was winning. In 1992, Mercedes finally got their revenge when Klaus Ludwig, driving a 190e Evolution 2, dominated the DTM championship, cementing the car's place in history. From that moment on, the 19E was no longer just a great road car, it was a legend of the racetrack. The impact of the 90E on touring car racing. The legacy of the 19E didn't end with the DTM. It influenced an entire generation of touring cars, setting the blueprint for how manufacturers built race-winning machines. Even today, when you look at Mercedes-AMG's modern race cars, you can still see traces of what started with the 190E. The aggressive stance, the aerodynamics, the race-focused engineering, it all began with this car. But what happened when the racing was over? Did the 190E fade into history? No. Instead, it became a collector's dream, a car that enthusiasts still crave today. And in the next section, we'll see why the 190E remains one of the most sought-after Mercedes models ever built. The racetrack battles made the 190E a legend in motorsport, but what about the streets? What happened when the racing was over? Instead of fading away, the 990E became something even greater, a cultural icon. For many, the 990E wasn't just a fast car, it was the perfect Mercedes. It had the legendary build quality of the 80s, the luxury of a high-end sedan, and the soul of a race car. Step inside, and you're surrounded by pure engineering excellence. No unnecessary gimmicks, no cheap plastics, just precision, durability, and craftsmanship. Over the years, the 190E has become more than just a car. It has become a symbol, a statement of timeless design and engineering. From music videos to car collections of celebrities, the 190E continues to make an impact even decades after production ended. And it's not just enthusiasts who love it. Today, values of the 190E, especially the Cosworth and Evolution models, have skyrocketed, making them some of the most desirable classic Mercedes ever. What makes the 990E so special? It's not just nostalgia. It's the fact that this car represents an era where Mercedes built cars to last forever, where engineering was prioritized over cost-cutting, where every detail mattered. Even today, modern AMG models carry the DNA of the 990E, precision engineering, performance, and a legacy of motorsport excellence. This car didn't just make history, it defined what a true performance Mercedes should be. So after all these years, is the Mercedes 190E one of the greatest cars ever made? In the final part, we answer that question once and for all.
So, after everything we've seen, the engineering, the motorsport dominance, the cultural impact, one question remains. Is the Mercedes 190E one of the greatest cars ever made? To answer that, let's break it down. Engineering? Built like a tank. Performance? A legend on both road and track. Legacy? It influenced decades of Mercedes design and left an undeniable mark on motorsport history. Even today, the 190E is loved by enthusiasts worldwide, not just because of what it was, but because of what it represents. An era when Mercedes built cars to last a lifetime. A car designed with no compromises, no shortcuts, only quality. There are cars that come and go, and then there are cars that become immortal. The Mercedes 190e, it's one of those cars. A machine that still turns heads, still excites, still proves that true engineering never goes out of style. So whether you're a collector, a racing fan, or just someone who appreciates great cars, one thing is clear. The Mercedes 190e isn't just a classic, it's a legend. The Mercedes 190e, built for the road, born for the track, engineered for eternity.
And that's the story of the Mercedes 190e, a car that redefined what a performance sedan could be. But this is just one chapter in the incredible history of automotive legends. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because we have more legendary stories coming soon. What car should we cover next? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.